Okay, back on 6.3. The form we're looking at now is the standard form. And so it says you've got a times x squared plus b times x plus c, where a, b, and c are constants. And then the vertex that we're going to find will be by doing negative b over 2a, and then solving the equation for that value. And we also have a little help there that the y-intercept is 0 and whatever c is, because if I put in 0 for x, all that's left is a constant at the end. So we can go ahead and say that our y-intercept is 0, 8. And I can put that dot on there. But let's go find our vertex. So I've got negative b over 2a. And so remember my a value would just be a negative 1, b, negative 2, and c we've already used as an 8. So negative b over 2a would be a negative 2, so positive 2 over 2 times negative 1 would be negative 2, which would just give me a negative 1. So it looks like my vertex, the x value will be negative 1. Then we just plug in a negative 1 to get my y value. So negative 1 squared minus 2 times negative 1 plus 8. So just remember when we're squaring this, that we're going to square the negative 1, and then this negative is going to stay outside until after it's squared. So negative 1 squared would be positive 1, but then we add that negative back to it, so that leaves me with a negative 1. Then negative 2 times negative 1 gives me a positive 1, or positive 2, sorry. And then a positive 8. I'll add that all up together, and I get the y value as 9. So it looks like my vertex should be a negative 1, 9. It's going to be right up there. And I already have my y-intercept, which was 0, 8, which means since I've got my axis of symmetry here, I could find another point here that would be negative 2, 8. And then we just need one more point there. And so since we've got the vertex already, we will take and put this in our calculator and get it from there. So negative x squared minus 2x plus 8. And I need my table. So just checking my vertex here has got the same going from either side. So negative 1, 9. My 0 and my negative 2 are the same. So at negative 3 it'll be 5. And at 1 it should be 5. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, right there, and right there. And if we wanted to go one more, at negative 4, it was 0. So we can get real accurate here and even go to negative 7 there and get a real good picture of our graph, just because a lot of it ends up fitting on here. But as long as you got a few points on each side, you're getting a good idea of how the graph works. So a couple things to notice, that when you have a negative up in the front in this standard form, that's what's going to flip this over to be upside down. And then as we work with it, we're able to find the roots there, it looks like, if we went to the -4 and the 2. So those would be our roots. Our axis of symmetry, of course, is that line that the vertex is on. And then we could kind of look at the domain and range as well, that my domain, it keeps going out forever. My range goes all the way up to the 9 and then kind of stops there. Okay, let's look at one more in this standard form. So again, a couple things I can find. Put my A, B, and C values down. So A is 2, B is 8, and C is 6. And you start to notice a few things on this, like if I take and I were to solve this out, then I could put it in that root form, just be pulling a 2 out and kind of solving that, putting it in the root form from there. But we can also just use this form, find our vertex, and go from there. So I'll go ahead and put my y-intercept is a 0, 6, just to have a starting point, and then find my vertex. So negative b over 2a would be -8 over 2 times 2, which is 4. End up with a -2. Okay, now I need to plug in a -2 into my formula. So 2 times -2 squared plus 8 times -2 plus 6. So 2 times 2 is 4. Gives me an 8 there, minus 16 plus 6. Gives me -8, -2. So looking like my vertex is going to be -2, -2. And I did that a little bit backwards than what we normally do it, but that's all right. Just ended up going the other way with my numbers. Let's clear this out, and we'll check it in our calculator. So 2x squared plus 8x plus 6. And I've got my -2, 2 there. Looks like -1 was at 0. -3, 0, and -4 is at 6. So that gives us points to graph off of. I've got -2, -2 right there. -3 is 0, and -1 also 0. And then -4 goes across the axis of symmetry there. Gives me 6 as well. And we've got that graph. So it's a positive there, going upwards, a little bit stretched out. Got our vertex, our axis of symmetry. We're able to find the roots there for that as well. So that is graphing in that standard form, and now that we've got that, we'll be moving on pretty quickly to finding out some more information from that graph when we get to 6.4.